Whether it's cars, comics, video games, or violins, there's a little geek in all of us. It's time to give your geek a voice. It's time for Geek Therapy. Here's your host, Johnny Hamburger.
That's right. I am Johnny Hamburger, and I am your mental curator for the evening for at least the next hour. Hopefully I can go an hour. Hopefully I don't get canceled within the next hour, which let you behind the scenes a little more. It's just about 44 minutes of actual content because of commercials. But regardless, I'm Johnny Hamburger. I've got my Geek Therapy Radio Facebook page up and running. You might have thought to yourself, listening to these shows, this was number 9 right now. You've been listening to the past 8 shows, past couple months, and you're thinking, why doesn't he ever plug a Facebook page? Everybody's got Facebook. Well, there's a little, it was harder to do than it should have been. And it's kind of funny in the worst, horrible way why it was so hard for me to get a Geek Therapy Radio page. Previously, before this was called Geek Therapy Radio, I had a little segment that would air as, station fill, and it was called Tech Bite with Johnny Hamburger. But I wanted to get away from the Tech Bite. I wanted to not pigeonhole myself like that. So I decided, let's call it Geek Therapy Radio, because that's a much bigger umbrella. That's much more what I'm all about. I'm not just a tech guy. I'm a geek, a dork, a nerd. So broaden my horizons, called it Geek Therapy Radio. But anyways, I had the page. My Facebook page was called Tech Bite with Johnny Hamburger. So I don't know if you know this or not. You can't just, if you have a Facebook like business page, or it's not your personal page, you can't just change the name of it willy-nilly. Even as an admin, I can't just go in there and say, okay, it's called Geek Therapy Radio now. Nope, Facebook has to approve all that stuff. And here's why it was kind of funny to me. And again, in a second you'll realize why I say it's funny in a horrible way. As you guys may or may not know, which I'm sure you do, Facebook has been in hot water recently with their response to people using Facebook Live to basically broadcast murders. Broadcast them murdering people live. Broadcast them murdering somebody and then committing suicide, which is horrible. And that stuff goes up instantly, and then it takes Facebook too long to respond and take it down. In some cases, several hours. People post to their Facebook page themselves killing someone, committing murder, and then it takes several hours to get pulled down. That's crazy. So I had tried in the past to change my Facebook page name from Tech Bite to Geek Therapy, and it said, "Oh, well, this can take 7 to 15 days or whatever for Facebook approval." It's like, are you freaking kidding me? People can post themselves murdering another human being instantly. But I cannot just change my name on my Facebook page. I can't change my radio name, my radio show's name. That has to go under for approval. 7 to 15 days up to for approval to change my name, to change the title of my Facebook page from Tech Bite to Geek Therapy. It boggled my mind quite a little bit, and it was just wow. Like you can post a murder instantly, and Facebook takes their sweet time to get around to it. But change your name on your Facebook page, Facebook has to approve it. Somebody has to look at it and approve it and make sure it's all legit. Which I understand. I wouldn't expect anything less. I mean, that's standard procedure. It's just funny and horrible that you can post a murder instantly, but got to get approval to change my Facebook page name. So I did change it. And the end of that story is that I changed it from Tech Bite to Geek Therapy. I tried it again. They approved it quickly. Within a few minutes, it had been approved. And I can only chalk that up to they might have had more hands on deck monitoring what's going on their website. So when I wanted to change my Facebook page name, I got a human being looking at that lickety-split because they probably had more hands on deck, making sure Facebook Live wasn't posting murders or anything else illegal. So yeah, I changed my Facebook page name from Tech Bite to Geek Therapy. So look, that's a 5-minute story to tell you to go like Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. You know, I have Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram, but let's face it, I can't interact with you as easily on Instagram as I can on Facebook. So go like the Facebook page, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. And also Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. And you can email me, geektherapy, with no radio, just geektherapy at iheartmedia.com, though I should change that to include the radio. Anyways, geektherapy at iheartmedia.com. And I don't really use my Twitter much, so I'm not going to really mention that right now. There's too much social media. There's too much to keep track of. If I want to keep track of anything regarding my radio show, it's going to be Facebook. Because we use Facebook more than we use any other social media. That's why Facebook has Facebook acquired Instagram? I think they did, right? I got to look that up. Anyways, so yeah, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. The show this week is going to be very fun. There's something very fun happening in the skies. I'm going to get into astronomy. I have a couple of telescopes. I've got a telescope that I keep in my car. It's a 4-inch telescope. Costs about $100. Dobsonian. When people say, what kind of telescope should I get? Start there. A 4-inch Dobsonian. That's best bang for your buck. You're going to see a lot with a 4-inch aperture. It's small enough. It travels. It sits on a picnic table. You can put it on a camera tripod. It's very easily transportable, and you can see quite a bit. And it's only $100. That's a really good start. Usually comes with a couple of eyepieces. So anyways, we're going to get into astronomy a little bit. A meteor shower. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to tell you what meteor shower that is. And we talked to somebody pretty special over there at the Museum of Natural Science, the Houston Museum of Natural Science, and she's going to tell us all about the meteor shower, how best to view it. It's going to be great. So stick around, more Geek Therapy Radio to come. During the break, get on your celery phones and go check out Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. I'd love to see you. A lot of you have been coming out of the woodwork. I've been getting a lot of likes, a lot of views, a lot of visits there on my Facebook page, and I appreciate that. So now that you're looking at it, tell me what you think. Tell me what's your geek thing. What should I cover? What nerdy thing are you into? What geeky thing are you into? Do you have a sweet classic car? Let's talk about that. Do you have a sweet telescope? Let's talk about that telescope. RC cars, helicopters, airplanes, medical things. Maybe you're into old vintage telephones. Who knows what you're into? But let me know on my Facebook page. That's Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. So I'll be right back. I'm still Johnny Hemberger. It's going to be a fun show. Stick around. We'll be back in 3 or 4 minutes. We are going to talk about astronomy this segment, but I just wanted to interject one cool story that's really cool, and that is researchers have discovered that swearing makes you stronger. So when you're doing that CrossFit and you're lifting up something heavy, God knows what you guys are lifting up, what you're doing in those houses, those boxes that you work out in. But if you're pushing something heavy and you scream out, you can actually push it a little bit harder, and it actually makes you a little stronger. So I hope I had the wherewithal to beep that. Otherwise, I'm in big trouble. Was I smacking the desk a lot there? I think I was. Anyways, let's get on to astronomy, because that's what I teased you. That's what I teased you about, astronomy. That's what I gave you a little tease. So let's get into astronomy. We've got a meteor shower coming up. Actually, it's happening right now, but a good time to view it would be this weekend here in Houston because it's going to be very clear, although the moon is out. And any astronomy buff knows that the moon equals light pollution. You can be at a dark sky site, but the moon being out is not ideal conditions to be sky watching because the moon is so bright and it drowns everything out. But anyways, we talked to Carolyn Sumner. She is the Vice President of Astronomy and the Physical Sciences at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. In the meteor shower, we're talking about this week, what we got going on this week in the sky. The shooting stars is called the Eta Aquariid meteor shower. And now Carolyn Sumner is going to tell us all about it. Listen up, geeks!
Okay, this is the Eta Aquariid meteor shower, and binoculars don't help at all. What you have to have is the biggest view of the sky, because even though the meteors appear from the constellation Aquarius, and you can get a picture of that on the internet and have it with you, they also go in all directions. So to see the most meteors, you just lay back, make yourself comfortable, look up at the sky, and wait and watch. The meteor shower is very long. It starts before the end of April and goes to mid-May. We're in the form of particles from the Eta Aquariids for quite a bit of time. Any night is worth trying. The brighter the moon, the worse you'll see them, because the fainter meteors cannot compete with moonlight. So the moon is when also we see more meteors when we're going into the swarm, and that happens after midnight. With the moon in the evening sky now, that makes it also better. So right now the peak is the 6th of May, but the moon is getting brighter every day. So I would say any that you want to stay out past midnight, look into the eastern sky more than everything and see if you can catch a shooting star. It's something you could do. If you want to wait until the weekend, once again, the problem will be the moon, but the best rule would be to go where it's dark, look in the early morning hours after local midnight, and just see what you can see. Plus a few things you need to have with you, like something warm to drink, maybe something cool to drink, maybe popcorn, some kind of refreshments. Meteors, they don't perform on cue. You have to just wait for them and have a party outside, enjoying the sky, and then just throw the meteors in for good measure is probably the best thing to do. This is one we don't talk about as much. The average of 30 per hour is not a whole lot. That means you have to, wait on average 2 minutes to see one. So in our modern day, thinking things should happen very, very fast, this one happens very fast. But it's better than normal chance if you go outside to see a shooting star.
So that was Carolyn Sumner telling us all about the Eta Aquariid meteor shower. Heed her words. Go out to a field somewhere. Go to the darkest sky near you. I mean, if you live down south, Galveston gets pretty dark. Areas around Galveston, maybe not, of course, not downtown Galveston. I may shoot up there to Huntsville or Livingston. There's plenty of dark sky sites north of town. Of course, looking south from the north side of town, there's going to be a bit of light pollution from Houston to the south. But the meteor shower is going to be coming from the east, as you just heard. So whether you're north of town, south of town, I guess if you're west of town, it's not ideal, because if you're west of town looking east, you're looking towards downtown, obviously, and you're going to get a little bit of light pollution. But look up. Look for them shooting stars. You should have about 30 chances per hour to make a wish. 30 chances per hour to be holding the hand of your lovey-dovey wishing for a kiss. 30 chances to make that smooch happen. And I'm telling you right now, if you're going to have a smooch with your beau, with your boo, with your bae, a meteor shower is probably a pretty good time to do it. Yeah, I would say smooching during a meteor shower, laying under the stars on a blanket, with your drinks, maybe some wine, maybe some soda, maybe some water. That's a pretty good time pretty good time to start doing the combination, working the lock a little. That sounds dirty. That is not what I meant. How can I put this? Cracking the code, you know? Trying to get a kiss. You're not working any locks or... Let me tell you let me share with you so I can just quickly derail off of what I was just talking about. The best meteor I ever saw personally. And it was so good, I thought I was going to die. That's how cool this meteor was. I was walking out of Cece's Pizza one evening with my buddy Brad. And we were walking back to his Saturn, his crappy Saturn, which the shifter, he shifted gears. He had vice grips clamped down onto the ball joint there in the center console. He didn't have the shift knob anymore. Just clamped the vice grips down onto the linkage in there, and he shifted using the vice grips. But anyways, we were walking out of Cece's, and it was evening. The sun had just set, so it was there were storms that day that had just come through, so the sky was very clear. It was a beautiful evening. So the sunset was all pink and orange, and the sky was dark above the pink and orange, but it was purpley and really dark. And it sounds romantic. Me and Brad were holding hands walking out of Cece's. No, we weren't. No, we weren't holding hands. Maybe we might have. I don't know. Anyways, I said, Brad, shut up. Look, there was this streak going through the sky just with this long green tail. And we had so much time. I had so much time to tell him, Brad, shut up. Look at this thing. For him to scan the sky and see it. That's how long this thing lasted. And then it broke into two pieces and fizzled out. We saw it darting down towards the horizon. I'm just like, are we going to die? Are we about to die right now? Like straight up dinosaur style. So that was the coolest meteor I ever saw. Long green tail. Does green mean iron? I'm not positive on that. Maybe a geologist can tell me about that. A chemist can tell me about that. Anyways, long green tail. Thought I was going to die, which means it was the coolest meteor ever. And then on a separate occasion, a few years later, I was on my way to work, driving down 610, looking west, saw another green meteor. It didn't last very long. It was a pretty quick streak. And then you ever talk to people who say they've never seen a shooting star, they've never seen a meteor, they've never seen anything like that? I feel bad for them. Look up more. Look up. Everybody, look up more. Just look at the moon. You're feeling bad about whatever is going on in your life. I mean, there's plenty of terrible things going on, but maybe you're just feeling generally bummed. What helps me is to look up at the sky, look up at the stars, look up at the moon. For some reason, and I've mentioned this before, it makes me feel more connected. It doesn't make me feel small. It makes me feel part of something bigger. And just looking out at a star, looking out at Jupiter with your naked eye, you can see Jupiter with your naked eye. I'm thinking, that's a planet out there. Looking out at a star, thinking, what planets are around that star? Who's looking back at me from a planet on that star? What are they thinking? Are they thinking the same as me? Probably. If it's intelligent life, as evolved as us, we are probably more similar than we are different. Why can't we get that through our thick heads about our own human race and our own brothers and sisters? I am getting philosophical right now. Being philosophical is a very geek thing. Maybe I'll tell you about my philosophy class in college and how it threw me for a loop. Anyways, we'll be back. More Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Go visit Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Throw it a like. Interact with me. Tell me what's your geek thing. Let's wax philosophical on that Facebook page. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Like I said, I'm Johnny Hemberger, your mental curator for the evening, and we will be right back with more GTR. Welcome back to GTR, Geek Therapy Radio. I am still to this day, Johnny Hamburger. That's my name. You want to know my middle name? My middle name's Marshall. Can I geek out about that for just 1 second? History geeks, and I always loved my two favorite classes in school were science and history. I did pretty well in both those classes. Also English. I did well in English, which is nice because I'm talking on the radio now in the language of English. So it would make sense that I did pretty well in English. Anyways, history about my middle name, which I haven't said yet. My middle name is Marshall. Don't try to steal my identity. Ain't gonna work. Don't even try it. So my name is John Marshall. Well, John Marshall Hamburger. And the name John Marshall should already be piquing some history geek antennas up. You should be perking a little bit about that. John Marshall, the first, not the first, but was he the first? John Marshall was a Supreme Court Chief Justice. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. And he did some really cool things. And there's a school here in Houston named John Marshall, named after John Marshall. My great-grandmother's maiden name was Marshall. So John Marshall was my great-something grandfather. 2 greats, 3 greats, 4 greats. So I'm named after John Marshall. I've been given the family crest, the Marshall crest. I have that. I think it's in storage, actually. I think it's safe. I think it's sitting on top of something safe. Like I can go get it now within an hour. So that's my name, John Marshall Hamburger, named after Supreme Court Chief Justice John Marshall, my granddaddy, great-granddaddy. So that's it. That's the history buff thing. And I said I was going to touch on why taking a philosophy class in college gave me such a hard time. And it probably had to do with I couldn't even say the word philosophy. So my philosophy class, I went into it thinking, and this was like philosophy 101, 1301, however they name it now. It was an intro to philosophy. And I think what threw me for such a loop is I waltzed in there just like, this is a throwaway class. I'm not going to have to pay attention to this class, or, well, not pay attention, but I think I'm going to do easy in this class because I get very philosophical sometimes. I stay awake. I lose sleep at night philosophizing about all sorts of things, the universe, creation, evolution, a lot, radio waves, light, equations that I can't even begin to understand, yet I lay awake and I get philosophical about how does it all tie together. Anyways, I went into this philosophy class thinking this is an easy A. This is an easy A right here. Don't even got to worry about it. That class was the hardest class I've ever taken. And I scraped by that class to pass with a C. Scraped by. And I went to office hours with my professor, with my philosophy professor, and we used to just talk. You know, we would talk for a couple hours at a time, just about philosophy and different schools of thought and whatnot, just picking each other's brains. And I was like, then why am I failing the class? He says, you're failing the class because when you do the assignments, it sounds weird, but you're being too philosophical about the assignments. You're supposed to just read it and tell me, you know, how it ties into this particular school of thought. Like, it's supposed to be a little bit more analytical, less philosophical, more analytical. And you go off, you write these papers, and it's just philosophy, which is great, and he enjoyed reading and enjoyed talking to me about. But he said, I know it's a philosophy class, but you have to use some college analytical skills here, and you're not doing that. You're telling me what you think about it. You're not supposed to tell me what you think about it, your philosophy about it. You're supposed to tell me how it ties into particular schools of thought. You're supposed to use actual facts and references and blah, 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 blah. So that's what gave me a hard time. And once I, turned that train around, which is hard to do on a train, I did better, and I scraped by with a C. But it was it humbled me. It humbled me a little bit, a lot of bit, not to go into anything assuming it's going to be easy, or assuming it's going to come easy to you, because in this case, I was already pretty philosophical. No, and to me now, when I go into situations that I think beforehand, I know a lot about this subject, I should do pretty well in it. Now when I go into those situations where I think I know maybe more than most, I shut my mouth, because I know I'm about to get absolutely schooled. And I can't get too ahead of myself or too cocksure, whatever you want to call it, that I know everything about it. So that, in a way, that was a really good experience for me. I went somewhere recently to a nature reserve that I had been to many times before, that I've been camping at many times before. But I didn't want to pretend like I knew everything about it, like I knew every trail, because I didn't know every trail. Every time I go there, I get lost a little bit, just a little bit. I know basically how to get back. I know that we're trying to get down into this little valley where the lodges are, where where the ranger's cabin is. Like, I know how to get back, but always take a different path in getting there. And yeah, I didn't pretend. We got lost a little bit, and so I asked a group of bros. I was like, "Hey, is the trailhead down here?" Yep. I wasn't too proud to ask, and me asking them probably saved, maybe an hour. Like, I knew basically how to get back, but I wasn't too proud. Point is, I'd been there 100 times before, and I knew that if I got too cocky about it, I could get us into a lot of trouble. So that's a lesson I've learned. I think I know a lot about audio engineering. That's what I got into. That's what I went to school for, other than radio, television, and film, which I'm on the radio now, which is great. My background really is in audio engineering, recording studios, making albums. That is my cup of tea. You need an album mixed and to sound great. I've been doing that for 15 years or so now. That's what I love to do. That's my passion. But it's so fascinating to me, and it continues to be so fascinating, because I never go into it thinking I know everything. I don't know everything. How boring would it be if you did know everything about whatever your passion was? What if you knew everything about playing guitar? What if you knew everything about playing the violin? It would be boring. Once you've achieved everything, there's nothing left to look forward to. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that was that little robot's whole thing. It knew everything, so it was depressed. The answer to everything? 42. That wasn't everything. The robot knew everything. And he was so depressed because he knew everything. Oh, he was Eeyore. So yeah, I wouldn't want to know everything about everything. And neither should you. And if you think you know everything about something, I hope you don't get checked. I hope life doesn't hockey check you into the glass and shatter your collarbone, because that's usually what happens. Oh, I know everything about driving. And then you freaking die or kill somebody. I know. I drove a Corvette once. Okay, great. Don't be an idiot. You think you're so smart, you're really just an idiot. Sorry for saying that. You don't even know how to use a turn signal. So how the hell are you going to take this corner at 120 miles an hour? Getting salty again. There'll be more Geek Therapy Radio coming back. I have a little bit of a bad back. My lower back gives me troubles, and once every few years it goes out. And there's this new cane that's being crowdfunded, which is kind of funny to me. It's a smart cane. Of all the things in the universe to come out, once you think we've invented everything, we've got a smart cane. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that and some other cool things when we come back. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Go like the page. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Go follow Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. I'm Johnny Hamburger. We'll be back with more GTR. Coming right back at you. I'm done. Did you go yonder and like my Facebook page? Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook? I swear I'm done. But Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I am Johnny Hamburger, still your mental curator. Why? Why mouth? Tongue, mouth, teeth, muscles, make words. One at a time, one syllable at a time, one letter at a time. Make words work. I'm Johnny Hamburger. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. Oh, jeez. I swear I'm not drunk. I haven't had a drip. Not a drip. I am your mental curator for the evening for this last segment of GTR Seg 4. And at the last part of the last segment, I swear I can talk. I promise you I can talk, everybody. The last part of the last segment, I said, my lower back is a little flim-flammed, a little bamboozled, a little sore from time to time. And it flat out goes out once every few years. And it goes out in the most unglamorous way. It's never like doing a clean and jerk of 700 pounds. I'm pretty sure my body would turn into dust if I tried that. But it's never doing anything cool. It's never lifting a car off of a baby or something. It's, I'm just bending over the trash can, cutting my fingernails. And snap goes the back. And down I go, and I just get pissed. Oh, here's a couple weeks of recovery. Here's at least 2 or 3 days bedridden, followed by 2 or 3 weeks of recovery, of not skateboarding. So anyways, I do have a cane at the ready. Well, I don't have it with me all the time, but there's a cane at the house in a closet, and it's ready to go in case my back goes out, and it does go out from time to time. Good thing there's a crowdfunding campaign for a smart cane, and you're thinking, what could they possibly put into a cane that would improve a cane? An invention that's been around for thousands of years to help people with walking impediments stay mobile. What is wrong with a stick that goes in your hand to the earth? Why does it need to be smart? Well, I would agree. I don't necessarily think a cane needs to be smart. And how smart could it be? Well, this crowdfunding project, and maybe I should tell you what it is. Maybe I should tell you who's putting it up. It's a company called iCane. The iCane. So anyways, it's on Indiegogo. And you can go put a pledge on there. So you get one of the first shipments whenever they make it. So, smart cane. What's in a smart cane? GPS for one. It's got a GPS module in there. It's got a LED flashlight. And it's got a built-in SIM card holder. You can put your SIM card in there. And what it does is you can keep three phone numbers, 3 emergency contacts at the ready to rock in case you hit a rock and fall down on your talkus. That was really a stretch. But it's actually kind of a good idea. Let's say your Meemaw or Pawpaw has to use a cane. And the GPS would help you keep track of where they're going, which would help big time if they've got dementia or something like that. That's actually pretty good. Pretty good idea. It's got the little light on there to help them see around, and it's got the 3 emergency contacts in case they need something. In case they fall down or something, they can call 911, call the hospital, call their provider, call their grandson, granddaughter, call their daughter, call their son. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, a few minutes ago, you're thinking, smart cane? Who the heck needs a smart cane? Well, when it's got all those things in it to help those with mobility issues and possible dementia and other mental illnesses, a smart cane with a GPS and a built-in cell phone is pretty cool. Now, I will say it would look a little silly to be holding a cane up to your ear, having a phone conversation. But who cares? You need some. I'll talk to Mima or Papa through a cane, knowing that they're on a cane. I don't know why it would bother me. I'd have a normal smartphone. Oh, jeez. Anyway, so that's a smart cane. I still have all my wits about me, so I don't think I need a cane. I think I need a cane with a sword in it. That brings up some legal questions, but yeah, I think for me, being 33 years old, a cane with a sword in it might be more useful than a smart cane. Nobody needs to know where I'm going. I don't need a GPS. There's already a GPS on my phone. If you don't think the government can already track you and may already be tracking you, not to get too conspiracy theory, but you've got a GPS on you all the time. Anybody wants to know exactly where you're sitting, they can find out. And I don't really think it's the government doing it. You know who's actually doing it? Who actually has the incentive to know where you are 24/7? Businesses. Advertisers. Hey, you're close to a Walmart. Did you know that such and such is on sale at Walmart? You bet your fanny Google knows where you're at all the time. Why do you think every time you take a picture on your phone it says, do you want to upload this to Google Maps? So other users can see where you are and it'd be helpful to the user? No, that's okay. I don't need to upload this photo of my cat to Google Maps. Pretty sure that this location, the most interesting thing about it is this cat. And they don't need to know that. Only I need to know that this cat is here. Audiophiles. Audiophile geeks. Although I'm not sure how much this next story has to do with audio fidelity, because I don't imagine that it's that great sounding right now. I don't know if you've ever heard ribbon tweeters. Ribbon tweeters have been out forever. Over 10 years. Maybe about 20 years at this point. Ribbon tweeters, they sound amazing. I remember when I went to recording engineering school, we had the near field monitors had ribbon tweeters in them, and it sounded like a snare drum. Like the instrument sounded like it was right there. We would record it. We recorded it on a 2-inch tape. Hello, 2-inch tape, not even into Pro Tools, but we recorded it on a 2-inch tape on an Atari or whatever, and played it back through those near fields with the ribbon tweeters. Amazing! It sounds like you're in the room, in the control room with the snare being hit. It sounds like a real person is hitting it. It did not sound like a reproduction of sound. It sounded like the person was actually hitting the snare drum. Anyway, there's a new technology. It has nothing to do with ribbon tweeters. It's an entirely new process to create sound waves, and it is only possible with graphene. Graphene is this new material that's really on the verge of changing industry and changing the world as we know it. And graphene has been around we've known about graphene probably, again, for about 10 years. Anyways, this graphene speaker does not work by a physical membrane pushing air back and forth to manipulate the air and create sound waves like a traditional speaker. This graphene speaker creates sound waves using heat. It very quickly cools and heats itself to produce sound pressure waves. For those unfamiliar with basic physics, heat expands, makes air less dense, and cold air is more dense. So, if you heat and cool the air very quickly, you're still pushing air around. You're still creating vibrations in the air. It's just that there's not a physical membrane. There's not a physical diaphragm pushing the air around. So that's really neat, creating sound waves just by heat. Now, does that mean the next time you go to an Aerosmith concert, the front row's going to melt? Maybe. That would be pretty cool. Cool, get it? Heat, cool. Oh, geez. Well, it's a good thing that that's the end of the show for this week. That lame joke is the end of the show. That's the end of Geek Therapy for this week. I'm going to pimp it again. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Come talk to me there. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. And you can also reach me, Geek Therapy Radio, on Instagram. And you can email me, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. Again, that's geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. And I'm just going to drop this out there, too, because I've already said my name. You can also email me at johnnyhamburger@iheartmedia.com. johnnyhamburger@iheartmedia.com. That's where you can find me. Reach out to me. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Facebook. Go visit me there. Talk to me. Thanks for listening, everybody. I love you all. And let me leave you with one little idea that it's come to me again, and I wanted to remember for this week. Think about how you say things. Think about the words that come out of your mouth and the impact that they might even have subtly on your life and other people's lives. And I'm going to use for instance, this is the phrase that I really wanted to call out and make everyone listening aware of. When you say something like, I hate people who don't use turn signals. I'll just use that as an example because that's a peeve. When you say something that a phrase to the effect of, I hate people who chew with their mouths open. I hate people who don't use turn signals. I hate people who are stupid. That's not what you're saying. That's not what you mean. What you're saying is, I hate when people don't use turn signals. I hate when people chew with their mouths open. So keep that in mind, how you say things, because there's a big difference. There's a huge difference between I hate people who and I hate when people. You're either hating their action or hating the person. So think about how you're saying things. Think about what's coming out of your mouth and how that small little impact, changing a few words around, might have in the world around you. I love you. My name is Johnny Hamburger, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. We'll be back next week with more geeking out. I love you all. Come back and see me sometime.